if you're ever interested in the cruise industry, call me. And I'm going to put you on the best cruise ship or cruise line with the best cruise line we have.
Welcome back to our next exciting episode of our brand new podcast, Winds of Change. My name is Janet Bava, your host, and I am just so excited today because I have with me Peter Tobler, the one and only Peter Tobler. So today we're going to be dedicating a full episode to Peter because I have lots of questions for you here, Peter. So I know that you probably didn't come prepared because Madeline sent you a list of questions that we may not use, but we're going to get started. Peter, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Oh my God, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for, taking the schlep of a drive that it is to come down here to downtown Miami, but we're excited that you're here. And I just wanted to start with you going way back. So for those who don't know you, give them a little bit about who you are and what are you doing here at Windstar's podcast?
That I'm still trying to figure out myself. However, originally from Switzerland, born and raised in Switzerland. My parents were hotel and restaurant owners. So obviously, for obvious reasons, I entered the hospitality industry as well, starting out as a chef, attended chef school back in Switzerland, then worked at the best places throughout the nation in various summer and winter resorts. And then eventually in 1980, I actually went to Hong Kong. And I started working for Peninsula Group Hotels.
Very nice.
As the youngest sous chef in all of the Far East.
Oh, wow. That's a beautiful property, and that is a phenomenal hotel.
That's the mother hotel
Yes,
of the Peninsula
it is.
Group, yes.
So you must have been very good if you achieved that role at a very young age.
I think I was lucky.
Really? Okay. So where did that take you next? So you're in Japan.
Then in 1982,
Okay.
I actually joined the cruise industry. So I've been in it now for over 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you were very, very, very young back
I
then.
was very, very young at the time, but started out as a provision master.
Okay.
Promoted immediately after the first contract to hotel controller.
Okay.
Did that for two contracts.
Hotel controller?
Hotel inventory manager.
Okay, great. Okay.
In other terms.
Yep.
And then promoted to food and beverage manager right away, 2 contracts later.
Same brand, same cruise brand?
The same cruise brand.
Which cruise
the
line?
The cruise line was Pearl of Scandinavia.
Okay.
Pearl Cruises.
Okay.
And then in late 1988, I joined Seabourn Cruise Line.
Wow.
This
1988.
Right at the beginning,
Wow.
yes.
Yeah, they had just started.
As hotel general manager.
Wow. Very prestigious role as well.
The Star Pride.
Really?
As we call it today. That was the Seabourn
Okay,
Pride.
that I didn't know. You see, this is what I love about these podcast interviews. I am actually learning so much about the individuals we're interviewing, so I didn't know it was the Star Pride, our pride and joy, like Stanley likes to say.
That's right.
Okay, so you started as hotel manager, and
So then I wanted to go land-based.
okay,
So I became, Seabourn at the time couldn't offer me a position as such because we only had the 3 ships.
right.
The ones we call Star Pride, Star Breeze, and Star Legend today. And so I joined Princess Cruises as their culinary director.
Okay. Now, before you move on to Princess Cruises, I do want to say that there's something iconic about that era because it was an era. It was these ships, when they first were launched, they really did start what small ship cruise luxury is today, right? That was the most innovative, right, product at the time in the cruise industry because they were, I think, one of the first really to set the stage for what's luxury cruising today, right?
They did, and they maintained that position to date.
Yes, absolutely.
So they still have some of the smaller ships
absolutely.
Around.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you go on to Princess, another fabulous cruise
So
brand.
I went to Princess for a period of 3 years.
Okay.
Then Seaborn called me and said, hey, they're expanding. So they literally just bought the Legend, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
In 95, and then I rejoined Seaborn again as the director of food and beverage.
Oh, wow. So,
Left in 2000, joined NCL, Norwegian Cruise Line,
okay.
as the VP of F&B, and then back to Princess again in 2005 as their VP of F&B, and then joined Windstar Cruises in 2017.
Oh, wow. Okay. So from 2005 to 2017, and I can tell you that me personally, I joined the cruise industry when I started at Royal in 2005. So you are already way well into your career, but I want to take you back to your Seaborn days when you acquired the Star Legend, because I want to connect the stories. We've interviewed Chris, and he's talked about his journey and how you were actually the individual who hired him on board Seaborn, right? So can you tell us a little bit about that story so we can connect your story with Chris? I want your side of the story.
Yeah, I spent a brief period of time, just about 6 months, being the general manager of 2 hotels and 6 independent restaurants in Austria.
Okay.
And Chris, at the time, was the assistant GM and general manager of one of the hotels.
Okay.
But he then left, and I went back to Seaborn again. But I told Chris, I mean, the guy was already a genius back then. So before he left and moved to Vienna, I said to him, if you're ever interested in the cruise industry, call me. And I'm going to put you on the best cruise ship or cruise line with the best cruise line we have in the industry, obviously Seaborn. So Chris
At
then...
the time.
At the time. Now it's obviously Windstar. So anyway, so Chris eventually called me, and he joined the Seaborn Legend, or today Star Legend, in 1998.
Wow.
Right.
Yes, beautiful. So, I mean, you identified a star, right, in the making, literally, because Chris now is our president. So now moving on to today, let's talk about Windstar and your journey with Windstar, because I know that every time we post something about Peter Tobler, like the engagement goes through the roof. And I think you have a big fan base of people who've either worked with you throughout your career or guests who have enjoyed what you are able to produce. So you handle today our food and beverage, which is probably the most basic of terms. But we have a partnership that you also manage with. We're the official cruise line of the James Beard Foundation. So there's a lot to talk about. And one of our favorite topics that we talked about with Diana was the wine cruises and what you do to procure wines all over the world. So where do you want to start, Peter? I'm turning this over to you.
Let's go with the James Beard Foundation.
Okay, let's do that.
Right.
So let's talk about why is that important for Windstar to be the official cruise line of the James Beard Foundation?
I mean, first and foremost, the James Beard Foundation, the best chefs within the nation, within the United States of America, are all members of the James Beard Foundation.
Right? Yep.
So we obviously, through that relationship or partnership, we gained access to these celebrity chefs. And obviously, it's a diverse group of people. They're
really
from
are.
all over the world. Most of them are,
Yes.
came to the United States sometimes throughout their career
Yeah.
and eventually ended up here and established themselves exceptionally well. And as you know, we are now celebrating our 10th-year anniversary.
Yes.
Our
this
partnership
year,
anniversary
2025.
with the Windstar and James Beard Foundation. And featuring 5, 6, 7 chefs annually. And a very, very diverse crowd of exceptional chefs, as a matter of fact.
Absolutely. And we'll be including the links to each and every one of the chefs, because each and every one of the chefs are so unique and special. And I think what you have done is that you have matched an itinerary to the individual chefs. And so I think, you talked about they all come from all different walks of life, all over the world. It's a melting pot. And that diversity, I think, it's brought to life when they come on board, right? Because
Right.
what are they doing when they come on board? What is the benefit to book into one of these cruises?
So they're hosting 2 culinary demos throughout the cruise. Depending on the length of the cruise, sometimes we even do 3 or more.
Wow.
And then one evening is hosted dinner night, where we feature at least 4 to 5 of their dishes. And then obviously they interact with the guests, throughout the cruise. But then in addition to that, each and every night on the dinner menu, we feature at least 3 James Beard Foundation dishes, or James Beard Chef dishes,
Right.
as such. And they are, people just love it.
Love them, yes.
People love to talk about it. People love to, they even reach out to the James Beard Foundation in New York and somehow try to get into those events.
Yes. They have a huge following. They have a
Yeah.
huge fan base. They're celebrities, really, because I think what they do is an art form. Honestly, what they do in the culinary scene is truly art. And I think what we're able to curate on board is absolutely spectacular. And you do not have to wait to go on a hosted voyage, actually, to enjoy some of the James Beard selection, right? So we do have that as part of our core offering as well.
Every single day.
Every single sailing, you can enjoy dishes
That's
that have
right.
been inspired or have been a collaboration with a James Beard chef.
That's correct. Yes.
Now, what I love to do is I get the menu and I do look up the James Beard chef recommended dishes, but I also look up the wines that you recommend. So let's now move on to the wine section, which is your favorite subject, and I know many of ours. And we talked in the Diana episode how our employees at Windstar, their favorite day of the week is when Peter brings wine and does a wine tasting. I mean, it's a tough job. Someone has to do it. So can you talk about that?
I know. I'm struggling doing the wine tastings. But it's always been a passion of mine. And here again, I originally got inspired by my parents.
Okay.
Because my father, was a certified hotelier as well as a certified chef. My mother was a certified restaurant manager and a certified bar manager. So actually her forte, as well as my father's, besides culinary arts and, being in the hospitality service industry, was obviously wine.
Right.
So that was my original inspiration. So
Dinner at your household must have been fabulous.
the wine cellar was not too shabby. So my very, very, very first wine trip was in 1973.
Oh, wow.
And that was during my apprenticeship in culinary arts. So the employees got invited to fly from Zurich, Switzerland, to Bordeaux and visit 3 wineries for a period of 3 days, a winery a day. And I came back and I was so mesmerized, and I felt that wine is probably going to be playing a very important part of, my life moving forward.
And it does?
And it did. It did.
It did.
So in the meantime, obviously, I've been all over the globe. I've pretty much visited every wine region. My favorite one is still Napa Valley.
Ah, really?
And, the 20 years I've spent in California, obviously, some in San Francisco, others down south in LA. Obviously, for me, that was, just a few hours away.
That's a big statement coming from Peter, because I know you've gone to a lot of vineyards around the world, in Italy, France, Spain, I mean, everywhere. And for you to say still your favorite is Napa Valley, I'm impressed by that response.
Yeah. We're now talking about 450 wineries in Napa Valley alone and 1,500 in Sonoma, right next door. So between the 2,000 wineries. And, we now, through our partnership with the luxury division of Gallo Winery,
Yes.
the largest winery
Yes.
in the world, we obviously now have access to wines which always have been some of my favorite wines.
And exclusive to their members.
And it's exclusive to the members. As a matter of fact, the wines which fall under the Lux division, you can only purchase or buy through the tasting room.
Right.
So some of them, a very, very small number, they do retail and, bevmos and wine shops and so on. But apart from that, it's pretty much, us being the only one that literally works with them hand in hand.
And what I just learned with Diana's interview actually is that through the James Beard Foundation cruises, those 5 hosted cruises that we have in 2025, our guests will be able to enjoy these Lux wines you mentioned, correct?
So that's what we're doing now. We're pairing food with wine.
Amazing.
So the James Beard Foundation with the luxury division of Gallo. And it's a perfect match. I
It
mean,
is the
so
perfect
far,
match.
so far, people have been raving about it. The guests, they can't stop talking about it. And then on top of it, you have the James Beard chef, as well as the Lux ambassadors and sommeliers and so on, interacting with the guests. So it's
Perfection.
It's an experience by itself.
Yes, it's what you call the perfect cruise. And I will say, we checked the staterooms and suites available for the upcoming voyages. Very limited, but we still do have some staterooms available this year. So we'll definitely put the link in this episode, because I think after everyone hears this episode, they're going to want to jump on that cruise as soon as possible. I know I do. And I think it's a spectacular experience that you curate. But now we've talked about the James Beard Foundation. We've talked about the wine. And there's a lot of more exciting things that you're working on. I know you're very, very busy collaborating with the team on a new restaurant concept that we've just launched on the beautiful Star Breeze, and we'll be launching on the wonderful and beautiful Star Seeker. And that restaurant, I call it basil and bamboo, but you may call it basil and bamboo. So there's I know we have different accents and we come from different parts of the world,
Right.
but
Yeah, Basel is a city in Switzerland.
correct.
So
And
I
it's
call it
Basel.
basil.
Oh, you do say basil.
I say basil.
Okay, all
yeah.
right. Okay, then we're good.
I say basil. Yeah. No, it's an extremely exciting project.
It is.
To be honest, and obviously we just literally have gone live on the Star Breeze, as you said. February 2 was the kickoff date. Going live, exposing it to the guests, and I just checked in with the culinary team, the corporate culinary team that currently is still on board, doing the crossing, repositioning the ship back into Tahiti again, and the feedback that we're getting to date so far, and I mean, we're only about what,
Like a week?
a little over a week into
Yes,
it is absolutely phenomenal.
Amazing.
So people want to go back again and again
Yes.
and again and
I know,
again. And the interesting part is, and that's what's trending today so much in culinary arts, basil and bamboo is actually a fusion of 2 different cuisines. So one side you have the Asian cuisine, and then it's fused with the Mediterranean cuisine. So you have these 2 coming together, and there are actually some prominent restaurants here in Miami itself which served as the inspiration.
Yes.
But we then developed, obviously, our own menu plan and concept, and it's absolutely fantastic. I mean, the culinary team as such, they have done a phenomenal job in putting that in place. And it's not just them, it's the front of the house people too, because somebody, has to deliver that experience.
Absolutely, and make sure that it's delivered exquisitely like they know how to do. And
Right.
Stain definitely introduced a term to me that I had no idea existed, and I think you mentioned that, and it's Mediterranean. It's a mouthful.
That's what we're calling it, Mediterranean kitchen
Love it.
concept in that sense, yes.
I love it. So unfortunately, we are at the end of the podcast, but this will not be your last episode because I will have to invite you back because I have a lot more questions. But I do need to end the episode with the questions that I ask everyone. So far, I've asked everyone these questions. What was your last cruise you were on, and which will be your next?
So I was just on the Star Breeze during
Okay.
dry dock. putting that whole basil and bamboo concept in motion. My next cruise is going to be on the Star Pride, and it's the James Beard
Of course it
Lux
is.
cruise with Jamil Kaborgis, JBF chef, or James Beard Foundation chef from Pittsburgh, and that's going to be on March 15.
Okay, March
Cruise.
5th. So that's a Caribbean cruise.
It's a Caribbean cruise on the Star
Beautiful.
Pride.
Beautiful. Okay, wonderful. And now we have many listeners who have never sailed with Windstar. And so if you had to recommend their very first Windstar cruise, which sailing or itinerary would that be?
That there is a lot. We literally touch the most beautiful parts on the globe. So, Tahiti is always recommended, but so are any cruises in Asia, but also in Europe. Not only the Med, but Northern Europe, the Mediterranean, and you name it. Even navigating from the Mediterranean up France to England to Ireland and so on. I mean, just that alone is an absolutely fantastic journey.
It really is. And
Yeah.
the Greek Isles, I think we're very much known for the Greek Isles
Incredible.
cruise. Yes, absolutely. So that's Peter's response. Any one of the sailings you will experience with Windstar, it's going to be a phenomenal one, right?
Absolutely.
And especially you need to know you're going to eat well and you're going to drink some of the finest wines, right? On board.
That is a given.
And you can thank Peter for that. And I thank you, Peter, for coming and joining us here today. This has been a fabulous interview. We really do love and appreciate you. And I cannot wait to welcome you back because I have a lot more questions to ask you this next time around.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.